What made her this way? What is the attraction? What keeps us fascinated? This is the story of Chris Chan. On May 15th, 2019, YouTuber Nick Robinson uploaded a video in which he discusses Pappy Van Poodle, a character from the Nintendo 3DS game Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, about whom next to no information existed and was difficult to encounter. According to a certain commenter, they claimed that Christine was the first person to have discovered Pappy Van Poodle. To confirm who was the first to have found the character in the game, Nick Robinson uploaded a follow-up video on May 25th, which featured a brief interview with Chris.
So I'm making a video about a 3DS game called Rusty's Real Deal Baseball. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I played it.
Oh, awesome.
It was free to play, but yet pay to play also.
Yeah.
I remember playing a bunch of mini games within it. And making a deal with Rusty.
You remember there was a haggling thing where you could negotiate with Rusty?
Oh, yeah.
Did you...
You're really making me lose my whole profit margin. You make me go below even breaking even.
So somebody told me that you had played the game and that when you had negotiated with Rusty, did you haggle with him? You haggled the money down?
Yeah, way down.
Oh, got it. I'm trying to track down who originally discovered this character for the first time, and somebody in a YouTube comment said that you had encountered this character or that you didn't negotiate, but I guess that's not true.
Yeah, not quite. Sorry.
It's okay. What are your main memories of Rusty's Real Deal Baseball?
The back and forth between me and the wabbit. Because Rusty was a wabbit. It's
Right.
like saying that.
Wabbit.
I'm Lucas, I love the wabbit.
I actually, you might be thinking of Nintendo Badge Arcade, because that was a rabbit. I think Rusty was actually a dog.
Oh, okay, well, my mistake.
It's okay.
At around the same time, Chris's debt repayment case with Midland Funding was updated to a garnishment case, meaning that if ruled in favor of the debt collectors, it would be required by the court to pay back the debt by forcibly taking funds available to Chris. On May 25th, Chris wrote a 20-tweet thread describing her new technique of falling asleep and lucid dreaming, or becoming aware that she is dreaming while dreaming. She afterwards added that her friend, Maker Nightfee, had apparently discovered the technique before Christine, but unlike Maker, Chris was able to describe it. If the sleep/meditation technique were to be scientifically studied, she hoped it would be named the Maker-Chan meditation/sleep technique. On May 26th, it appeared that the enablers Sarah and Steve cancelled their plans of moving to Virginia and personally helping Christine in her artistic and business endeavors. Some hints at what occurred could be gleaned from their updated public Twitter profile description. Just a couple of idiots who assumed they could help Christine, swindled out of hundreds of dollars, and were treated as subhuman. Should have listened to warnings given. They soon after changed their profile biography to a crying face emoji. Through private messaging, they elaborated that they fell out with Chris because she failed to acknowledge them for extended periods, while she posted extensively on Twitter about the dimensional merge. Thus, Sarah and Steve feared of being shunned for weeks after relocating. After a short while, Sarah and Steve admitted on Twitter that they were giving Chris a second chance, hoping she would reply to their messages more quickly. On that same day, a user on the social media site Reddit posted in the devoted Chris Chan discussion group, or subreddit, that he drove through Ruckersville, Virginia and made a detour to quickly visit Christine, posting a selfie he took with her. He noted she shook his hand for an extended period of time and was wet, possibly after having gotten out of the shower. On May 31st, Christine reflected on finding out that the Dean of Student Services for Piedmont Virginia Community College Mary Lee Walsh, with whom she had a noted history of conflict, had retired 2 weeks prior. I wish to offer kind words of her and the work she did there, regardless of what had happened between her and I in many years ago. She had her occupation. She performed to the best of her ability and judgment over the years. I do not recall much about her, and I have personally apologized to her for the mishaps and what had happened to her self-counterpart in Dimension C-197. I never knew her beyond acquaintance and professional boundaries and distance. I have never heard of her direct thoughts on the portrayal of her character, nor on the fame and fandom she had acquired from my own hand, psychic links, and so forth. My one grievance with her being of her uncharismatic and anger-induced attitude and behavior when it comes to dealing or communicating with those who are only trying to find their own way in life. In my case, I submit the constructive criticism that I was unable to speak to her way back then would be the calm, level-headed, direct statement with no intent of personal space and personal property destruction nor malcontent. Mary Lee Walsh should have said to me upon the first encounter, "This public advert is most inappropriate. It portrays you as a sexual solicitor. That is not a way to make conversation with others. Please put this advert away and never pull it out again. If you need help in socializing and talking with others, I can recommend some social skill courses and support groups for the very shy. Is that clear to you?" We probably could have avoided the tons of awkwardness and emotions looming over our shoulders, especially hers, had she been simply direct and civil like that back in 2003 with me. Regardless, what happened to and with her has long passed. Move forward and onward, and I humbly and sincerely wish Mary Lee Walsh, here in Dimension 1218, only the most comfortable and blessed years in her retired life until her time of passing. She had suffered enough, and I leave her to live on in peace of mind and forgiveness. Have a nice life, Mary Lee Walsh. Lightning, blue heart, lightning emojis. Sincerely, Mrs. Christine Weston Chandler Sonichu. Okay, DUMB question. Has Mary Lee Walsh, here, ever made any personal recorded statement about her thoughts and feelings about me and all of this since after I delivered the apology drawing to her and then received a freaking trespassing notice from her in 2009? Now that this can of worms has been opened yet again by someone who texted me earlier asking me what my thoughts about her retirement were, and I would be remised and dogged if I had not tweeted the set just a while ago. I feel needs to know what she had thought of it all. Tal as Knacht, people. Had to add this back onto my pile of stresses, didn't y'all? Also, please never ever remind me of Michael John Snyder, or even inform me at all whether or not he had died. I had long moved forward from that jerk, way in the past, and no need to do that to me either. To me, that jerk has been dead since I found the game and hobby place has been long gone, out of business, and replaces by a chocolate store. Leave that be with me, please. Kristen posted an animated GIF of meditative deep breathing to possibly calm herself down. On June 6th, in reply to a challenge from the official Pokemon Twitter account, Chris took part and assigned people on Twitter to be characters in her fictitious Pokemon journey, selecting the first account that automatically was prompted to her, which included US President Donald Trump and some of her online friends. When an individual told her that since her account was protected, no one who did not follow her would see her tweet, asking when would she learn, Christine wrote back, "Never," promising to continue tagging accounts as necessary, closing with ALOL, an acronym which stood for Actually Laughing Out Loud. On June 8th, Chris found out that the free encyclopedia, Wikipedia, had an article about the Kiwi Farms forum and requested for her to be omitted from the written history of the site. In addition, she wrote she would like to have her own Wikipedia page created for her, written in a positive light without any hate. Finally, She said she did not condone the role of Kiwi Farms in their so-called top 3 planned scandals, which left many people dead or injured. On June 12th, Christine wrote an extended Twitter thread explaining that she won't settle for a regular job because she was, in a sense, employed by deities to manage the dimensional merge. She also wrote the same message on her Patreon page to explain why she was unable to send the Sonichu comics to her paying patrons. On June 13th, Chris reflected on his graduation from Manchester High School in the year 2000, regretting that during the ceremony he showed his anger at not being recognized for his artistic efforts by snatching away his diploma and storming off stage without shaking anyone's hand. She wished for people to identify those who were on stage so she could apologize to them. As an addendum, Christine wished for the domain of the Christian Wiki, the Quickie, to be changed from sonichu.com to quickie.com so she could eventually claim the Sonichu domain for her own website project run by a trusted friend. When a Twitter user asked her why she couldn't use her superpowers to track down the people from the ceremony, she answered that she was still getting used to her powers, which remained unpredictable and wild. Later that day, Chris wrote a tweet thread in which she revealed that Jesus Christ allegedly told her that he and his mother, Emmanuel, have been working really hard in the dimensional merge, which was in its final stages and would take place in the coming days. Jesus was reaching out in all of the real-world dimensions churches, holy spots, portals, Pokestops, and Pokemon gyms, but also asked Christine to extend the reach of his message and tell everyone to believe in the original characters created by themselves and others. Also on that same day, she wrote on Twitter that her mother, Barbara, had been badgering her for damned money again, so Chris advertised a quilted throw blanket for sale on the auction marketplace website eBay for $225, including shipping. In addition, Christine made a YouTube video addressing troublesome mail she had been receiving, which was jokingly addressed to major YouTuber Pewdiepie. She claimed in the video title that Pewdiepie did not live at her address, and instead lived in Sweden. Though born in Sweden, Pewdiepie, in actuality, lived in the United Kingdom.
Hello everybody, Christine Chandler coming to you live from home once again, and today I'm setting something straight. Every so often, and this ticks me off because not only does the actual person does not get the mail, but to forward it is impossible for me because I don't have his address and he lives in Sweden. Felix Arvid Kjellberg, also known as Pewdiepie, does not live here at Rockville, Virginia 22968, and I never, ever want to see another piece of mail addressed to him sent to me here. And Pewdiepie, please put a mailing address on your YouTube channel to where your fan mail and everything can actually be sent to. Please, thank you.
Chris then went to Twitter to post a photo of all the hate mail that a single person sent to her multiple times per month. She wrote that she did not open the envelopes, as they were transparent both to light and her psychic powers, and would be sending them all back. Afterwards, she notified Pewdiepie's Twitter account that she would be sending back all mail addressed to the YouTuber, and asked for him to make a public address to let his fans know the correct address to which they should send fan mail. Finally, on June 13th, Chris posted a video in which she asks for people to believe in the original characters, or OCs, and deities in regards to the dimensional merge.
We have a bit of a situation. Turns out, while we do have a good number of believers in the OCs, CPUs, deities, and everyone between our sister dimension of C197 and their surrounding dimensions, and right here dimension 1218, we could do a whole lot better in the believers. Even Jesus Christ himself came to me earlier today, told me so. asked me to relay the message. Everybody, believe in the OCs, and everybody, the dimension merge is happening. And we could definitely make the dimension merge happen a whole lot faster and over with. Definitely for the better benefit of everybody. Everybody! Within both our dimensions and the combined dimensions. Just give them a thought. Give your OCs a thought. Any of them. Whether they be branded, not branded. Your creations. Someone else's creations. So forth. Sonichu, Rhodes, the CPUs. Anime characters. And Magic-chan, if you can see him right now, he's literally sitting right here. Anyway, Jesus Christ himself and our God Emmanuel, they're OCs too. Though they literally are those that have worked here. Like, your Lord Jesus Christ sacrificed himself for real here. He's an OC. I'm an OC. If anything, between you and your self-counterparts, every one of you is an OC as well. So, if anything, you believe in everyone else, you believe in yourselves as well. Alright? And more importantly, don't hate. Alright? We don't need any hate, any more haterade, especially from the freaking cyberboys and bad internet trolls. But aside from that, believe in the OCs. Believe in your OCs. Believe in yourself as an OC. Believe in Jesus Christ, Emmanuel. Who Emmanuel, by the way? God is a woman. And I have personally met them face to face. And if you don't believe me in that, I've literally touched Jesus' hands. I cry every time I feel that scar in his hand. Cross when he did that, but still. Anyway, as a guy as myself, I am unable to worship Jesus or any of the other deities, but I am friends with Jesus and all the other deities, including CPUs, so the least I could do is support them and be a friend. That's what I do to the best of my abilities. Everywhere. My soul, my brain, my body. Literally working round the clock. Everywhere. And I'm flying by the seat of my pants by each thing that comes in so I can relay it out to you via my Twitter or whatever. But in the meantime, believe. Believe in all of us OCs. And everything. And the dimension merge. It's happening. We're approaching our end game. And we are destined and fated to win. So, follow my motivational speech, please, and follow our lead. We will complete this merge. We will all be existent and coexistent with each other. And we will be able to hang out fully with our own creations. I'm very serious about that. It's happening! It's happening! Believe! Thank you. Have a good day.
On June 14th, Chris listed the complete set of Sonichu comic books for sale on eBay in a single $170 bundle. The bundle also included the Chris-chan prequel comic by Brian Frogboy and Rosechu's story, which apart from the Chris-penned front cover, was entirely written and illustrated by Kiwi Farms user Tricky. Christine further wrote on Twitter that all orders would be directly shipped from the book printing company, and so would not include any custom orders or autographs. She realized that the rewards she listed on Patreon, such as custom book orders and autographing and shipping them herself, cost her extra time and money, which she could not handle because of her dedication to the dimensional merge. The next day, Chris's avid follower, Jacob Sockness, received the blanket, which he purchased from her eBay account. He proceeded to announce that he asked a hypothetical mirror who was the sexiest artist, and it allegedly replied that it was Sockness. The tweet also included 4 photos of Jacob laying on the blanket and posing seductively in an array of revealing clothing. On June 16th, she dedicated the year's Father's Day to her father, Bob Chandler, posting on Twitter a photo of a newspaper clipping of her dad being celebrated for his contributions to General Electric. Chris celebrated his patents and achievements, which apparently directly led to many technological advancements, such as 3-dimensional printing. She reflected that Bob told her to live her life to the best, and that he was currently a very intelligent man/sonichu, who after the dimensional merge would be able to hug Chris's mother Barbara once more. Christine shared a picture she drew of Chris-chan Sonichu with her father in Sonichu form, Robert Chu, reflecting that since that drawing, her father had allegedly changed his fur color from plaid to almost all red, because it was hard for her to color a plaid pattern. It was at around this time that Chris's eBay account was restricted and all her listings were removed, likely due to her overall positivity rating of 85%, an exceptionally low figure for the site. On June 17th, she tweeted asking her followers if they also felt like it was the same day for a number of consecutive days, or when a day has passed, though it felt like a whole week. On June 19th, Christine finally acknowledged that her eBay account had been restricted and that her PayPal account was in debt. She stated that every direct $170 donation to her PayPal account would function as payment for the Sonichu Comics bundle and will order the set of books for the donators. Jacob Sockness did not entertain the idea of using the financial company to purchase the comics, for he did not trust Chris to fulfill orders on the count of her failings with Patreon. Not long after her announcement, someone presumably donated the aforementioned amount, bringing her PayPal account out of debt, and notified the unknown buyer that their book order would soon be shipped out after printing. When someone accused Christine of setting the $170 price to allow for herself $100 for shipping and profits, she clarified that printing cost $110, $30 for 3-day shipping, and the remaining $30 for her personal profit. Also on June 19th, Chris and her mother attended their scheduled court hearing in regards to 2 cases of debt owed to Portfolio Recovery Associates. Kiwi Farms user cwcki Spurgnik personally attended the hearing and later on gave an account of what they witnessed. 11:03 a.m. Chris and Barb arrive. More accurately, I hear Chris sighing, squealing, and whining as he sets off the metal detector at the main door of the court, repeatedly. They come into the courtroom and sit down in relative quiet. 11:05 a.m. Chris starts playing with a fidget spinner. 11:07 a.m. Chris starts making ridiculous noises, raspberries, light shrieks, grunts, etc. Barb shushes him. Chris replies to her discipline with, "We're taking a break so I can make a little noise if I want." This was delivered in the tone of voice of a smug yet pouting 6-year-old. 11:12 a.m. Chris starts making whoop whoop noises and singing a childish tune that largely consists of him going la 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 in yet another 6-year-old's tone of voice. Strangely enough, the first time I ever encountered him in public, late last February/early March, he was singing something virtually identical as he was walking down the street. The fidget spinner is still going. 11:22 a.m. 10 minutes of relative quiet are broken by another of Chris's noise-making fits. This time, it's a giant hiccup, followed by sighs, squeals, and more fidget spinner as he grunts at no one in particular. 11:23 a.m. Chris tears himself away from the fidget spinner long enough to make a comment to Barb about something to do with hairy legs. Couldn't make out the first part of it due to the acoustics, but she shushed him again. The 6-year-old voice came out again to say, "But they are hairy legs," followed by something else unintelligible and more fidget spinner. 11:27 a.m. Judge sits down again, starts getting the 11:30 session underway. 11:33 a.m. While that's going on, Chris starts babbling very audibly. The judge glares at Barb. Barb shushes the man-child. Unsettlingly, it was a near glossolalia level of babble. The fidget spinner has finally been put away, thank God. 11:50 a.m. Chris and Barb left the court with the judge's permission to speak with the prosecution attorney in private room, re his case. Barb wasn't allowed in and hung around in the foyer waiting for him. A few things that should be pointed out. Barb's looking worn out. There's no good way to describe or emphasize this adequately, but it's worse than I can ever remember seeing her. Her hair is completely white. The hollow-eyed, thousand-yard stare is now going out even further than that, and her general demeanor is that of someone who has taken all they can and has retreated into a shell that they only emerge from to shout out something vitriolic once in a while. She's getting around okay physically, but functionally reminds me of an edamame pod. Chris, honestly, not too much change there, at least physically. Behaviorally, however, he basically seems to be seriously sliding down the slope into trying hard to revert to childhood. At present, this is likely his strongest defense mechanism against Barb's decline, real-world responsibilities, like creditor judgments, and his lack of social skills bearing down on him. Granted, this is an assessment being made from a completely non-professional standpoint, but it's also not the first time I've seen something like this, and he's exhibiting the signs. The case was finalized that day, and Chris was ordered to pay back a total of $2,681.70 to Portfolio Recovery Associates. On June 23rd, Christine wrote a tweet thread reflecting on the Sonichu comic that was heavily influenced by the idea guys Joshua Wise and Stephen Boyd. Everyone, I am in agreement with @Magichan111448 that the adequate minimum number of peoples of this world, so far, have had a chance to read the book that I had written during the time of, and a bit after, when I was awakening as a CPU, also known as the time #IdeaGuyJoshWise. Totally tried to screw and mess up C197, the other CPUs, themselves, everyone else, and me from October 2017 to April 2018. For now, for those of everyone who have yet to read it, I leave the highlights of the book I ended up drawing and writing of the true events that all literally and actually took place during that time, and the negative effects of #IdeaGuyJoshWise and his OC, #JohnsonWiles, put us all through. It is likely that during that time, simultaneously, here in 1218, other people and individuals have felt some of the side effects along with us, so please feel free to share your respective stories. And if y'all would like the full printed copy of the book, it is free with purchase of the other Sonichu books in the set at this time, and the direct way to get the set quick for yourself is to send to me no less than $170 directly via PayPal. After receiving the monies, and be sure to include your address when sending the funds, I shall swiftly order the books and have them shipped to you directly from my printing company. My personal takeaway from the book is that I, personally, feel better keeping the back of the book facing forward, because I like and appreciate how it completed and came full circle. I also do appreciate the circumstances that introduced me to it all, including calling my very own @Sega Dreamcast that literally turned out to be this dimension's counterpart to the Spiral console that kept Uzume, the CPU Orange Heart, confined for years. While my Dreamcast only had the seal, but I still ended up with a direct link and close friend link. With her for 2 weeks. That was really wild, epic, and totally cool. #IdeaGuyJoshWiles shall pay for his crimes of extortion from me, and then some, because his damage was dimensions damaging that only I had the ability to undo, with the help in being guided to do so by @Magichan111448, and our friends and allies who are mildly to not affected by the effects of the month's worth of, well, the worst parts of it, to say the least. That is all for now. Thank you all for your support, interest, and sincere kindness. Alongside her tweets, she shared a selection of preview pages from the Awakening of a CPU comic. On June 24th, Chris wrote that she considered selling the Awakening comic for free, but decided against it because it cost money to print it and ship it, and that the money was needed in the house, hence why she bundled it with the complete Sonichu collection bundle, though mentioned that she was not getting orders. She wrote she would autograph one Sonichu comic per person at the upcoming My Little Pony convention, BronyCon, limiting fans to only one book since she wanted time to enjoy the convention herself. On June 25th, Chris made her restricted Twitter account public, meaning it was from then on visible to everyone. The next day, she liked a tweet about being kind to one another from illustrator and voiceover artist Doopie Doover, who had years before blocked Chris due to her overbearing attachment to the artist. Later on, Christine wrote on Twitter that since many things were going on, she was apparently feeling the psychic brunt force of it, which included chest tightening and other feelings. She asked her followers to say a prayer for her. She then went to her Magichan Sonichu Twitter account to write under the guise of being her alleged husband that Christine recently had a heart attack in relation to events happening between dimensions, and so asked followers to pray to and for her. The alleged Magichan soon after wrote that Christine apparently went to the emergency room of a hospital after the attacks and has since stabilized, though the chest tightening continued intermittently. She was taking medicine in the form of aspirin and Tylenol and was resting in bed as her alleged spouses Mewtwo and Magichan himself looked after her. Later that day, Chris added a YouTube video to a custom playlist, a 5-hour-long video featuring binaural beats, or special sound frequencies, advertised to invoke lucid dreaming in the listeners. Later again, she uploaded the uncolored front cover and the first 8 uncolored pages of her proposed Sonichu issue 14 comic, also known as Awakening of a CPU Book 2. Among the new pages, she mentions that she allegedly suffered 3 heart attacks in a single minute, before writing further about her hopes for the expeditious completion of the dimensional merge. Chris wrote that her uncontrollable, long, loud belches and frequent moments of déjà vu were signs that the merge was still progressing. On June 27th, Christine uploaded a Twitter video in which she balances a My Little Pony USB flash drive on her fingers until it wavers and falls to the ground, believing this is the result of her psychic powers. The following day, Chris updated her Patreon with new pages for Sonichu issues 14 and 15. The vast majority of pages were only visible to patrons paying at least a certain amount, though a few individuals, like Kiwi Farms user Sturbanchu, became patrons in order to leak the new pages to the interested public. Chris also added 9 new monthly Patreon payment levels, or quote-unquote tiers, which incrementally increased in single dollar amounts ranging from $1 up to $9. The so-called tiers did not offer any additional perks, except for thoughts of thanks from Chris. Some observers speculated that for Sonichu issue 15, which would function as a reboot for the series going back to the origins of Sonichu and Rosechu, she was plagiarizing from the fan comic Rosechu's Story by Tricky. On Twitter, Christine defended the similarities between the comics by claiming that she and Tricky had discussed years ago that it would be fine for Chris to reference Rosechu's story in her own comics, and that since Sonichu and Rosechu were mainly her property, haters and trolls had no rhyme or reason to shit on her. Tricky herself later confirmed on Twitter that Christine had her permission to use as much or as little of her comic for reference as she liked, as long as she did not use Tricky's artwork. However, when comparing new Sonichu pages, readers believed that Chris was likely tracing over Tricky's original panels, though Tricky herself did not think this was the case. On June 30th, Chris asked on Twitter if anyone, preferably famed lucid dreamers, could help her regain her abilities to lucid dream, which she had lost over the past week. She then shared an article from the NBC News network describing scientists entertaining the possibility of a parallel universe and claimed this was evidence of the dimensional merge. Chris also attached 2 uncolored pages from Sonichu issue 14, one of which describes the conclusion of her supposed heart attack episode. She wrote that on June 28th, she went to the doctor to discuss her possible heart attacks, which the doctor determined was a gastro-related problem and recommended that she take the antacids Tums when necessary. Chris also claims to have wowed the doctor with her psychic powers. Based on the illustration on the page, it appears that she demonstrated the so-called rubber pencil trick for the doctor by holding a pencil on one end and shaking it up and down, creating an illusion of a bendy pencil, which rendered the doctor speechless. She further elaborated that she had a goddess-level quest to complete in the Dreamverse that required her to be in a deep sleep dreaming level. When a Twitter user asked her if she would consider therapy, Christine answered, "Been there, done that. Therapy is beneath the high level this is, and I have been to plenty of therapy and psychologist sessions before. They lack the sufficient knowledge that is beyond what was printed in their textbooks." On July 1st, Chris posted another video on Twitter of her demonstrating her supposed psychic powers, in which she balances a large amethyst stone in her hand and slowly turns her wrist until it falls down, writing that her powers were growing since amethyst has weight, unlike the plastic USB stick. The following day, Jacob Sockness walked in the San Francisco Pride Parade, wearing a shirt reminiscent of Chris's The Classic, a replica Sonichu medallion, and also the shoes he bought from her on eBay. Also on that day, the debt garnishment case with Midland Funding was closed, ruling in favor of Christine, meaning that her funds would not be taken to pay back her debts. She afterwards went to Twitter to express her enthusiasm at the announcement of a soon-to-be-released remake of the vintage computer Commodore 64, hoping it would include floppy disk and cassette tape drives, since she still possessed games made for the computer in their original state. Chris then posted a photo of her collection of Commodore 64 games and programs. On July 3rd, the Sonichu official merchandise Twitter account posted a photo of Christian in the early 2000s, posing in his classic shirt, along with one of Jacob Sockness imitating his pose in a similar outfit, asking readers who wore the outfit better. Christine questioned whether Sockness's shirt was originally produced by Ralph Lauren like hers was. Chris later suggested that Jacob should lose some weight in his belly, and that his suggestive profile banner was unsettling for her. Jacob himself soon responded, mentioning his so-called teddy bear softness in an attempt to sexually tease Christine. Sonichu official merchandise wrote back that he should hit the gym if Sockness was to get Chris's affection, referring to her with male pronouns. Chris then corrected them. On July 4th, Christine angrily addressed the lax Google moderation rules which allowed anyone to edit her Sonichu headquarters business listing. Many people uploaded pictures referencing Chris's past trolling sagas, poor living situation, and her penchant for begging for money. Also on that day, Chris went to Patreon to update her supporters with new pages for Sonichu issue 15 and blamed the idea guys for the delay in the completion of the comic. Realizing that it had been quite the while since I resumed a few days ago, and when I ended up stopping in book 15, thanks to the events involving Idea Guy and Johnson Wiles, I ended up messing up on Rosie's young and short bosoms. I could kill them both after they and Boyd extorted $6,000 from me during those developmental and very eventful months, in full, plus interest. She then wished on Twitter a happy birthday to the United States of America, as it was the date of the nation's Independence Day, and wished a very merry unbirthday to everyone else, a birthday-like celebration occurring on all days apart from one's birthday, first mentioned in the 1871 novel Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. On July 8th, Christine announced on her Patreon page that she would be attending the upcoming and final BronyCon convention. But thanks to bills and things, funds for her travel and attendance have been slipping out. She pleaded for people to join her Patreon, as she was still busy coloring new pages and providing her supporters with new exclusive content, in addition to her work in both dimensions. She also wrote on Twitter the reasons why she needed funds. And if you must know why, room accommodations. My main plan with 2 friends who had reserved a room for us 3 and had their passes, they fell off the communications map on me. So I am in a major bind. Please, #help sonichu get to BronyCon. Chris then shared a link for her PayPal account, stating if anyone were to donate to her $600, she would deliver them a personally signed and bagged complete set of Sonichu comic books. When asked on Twitter why would she consider going to BronyCon when she had money troubles at home, Chris replied, "I'm going. I must. Alright? I have my reasons. Besides which, people want to see me and meet me, and they want to see me happy. I want to meet and make my fans happy. I want to partake and enjoy the panels and events and share in everyone's happy feeling. So, help me help you feel more content and happy in the moments during BronyCon. Please." As BronyCon soon approached, Christine clamored for any hope of recapturing the perceived love and acceptance she felt during the previous convention. For her, it was an escape from a world of bullying, demands, responsibilities, and accountability to a small part of the world where she would have freedom and not be judged and ridiculed. She would do all she was willing to in order to achieve that release, if only for a moment.